Hey, que la que hay, Rocky here from Speak Spanish Faster, y en este video vamos a hablar del alfabeto español. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the Spanish alphabet. Now, one of the first things I recommend to my students when it comes to learning to speak and comprehend Spanish better is to learn the alphabet in Spanish. Think about it. When we are kids growing up learning how to speak our first language, one of the first things we learn is the alphabet. That's because this is going to train you to learn the proper pronunciation of each letter, which will drastically help you with the pronunciation of each word. In fact, just by learning this will help you sound more like a native. Now, most of the time, I find that my students just skip past the alphabet. I get it. It seems so elementary, and we feel we already know it, and we want to jump to more important things like the conjugations and more vocabulary words, but we should spend some time mastering the alphabet no matter how long you've been studying and learning Spanish. Again, not only does it help you with your pronunciation, but it also helps you understand Spanish because you become more familiar with the sounds. You can't understand words well if you think it sounds one way, but in reality it sounds a different way. So by learning the alphabet correctly, we learn how things should sound. Also, you'll note that in today's lesson, I've added a few letters to the alphabet. Although they've been removed from the real Spanish alphabet, they are still important sounds that you will need to know. So without further ado, let's jump straight into today's lesson. Okay, que bien. Ahora vamos a ver cada letra. Now we're going to look at each letter and we're going to break down each letter. Now pay very close attention to the way the letters actually sound, because I will say this is one of the main reasons why people that are trying to learn Spanish don't sound like a native, or they don't sound authentic and they sound more gringo-ish, as you could say, is because they don't know how to properly say the letters. It's not that they don't technically know Spanish. I've had students that could write the perfect Spanish paper, but when it's time to talk, they don't say the words properly. And for this reason, even though they know probably even more Spanish than some native speakers, they don't sound native because they don't pronounce the words properly. And part of this reason is because they don't know how to say each letter properly. So first we have a. So a. Notice the difference. English is a, Spanish is a. Completely different there. All right. The hard a is how non-native speakers might say a word. Instead of saying they'll put an a there, and it will make them sound not native. Okay. So we have B, 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 C, C, C is C. Now, this was removed from the che sound was removed, or the ch sound was removed from the real Spanish alphabet. Like, it's not a letter anymore, but I've added it because it is an important sound and it is different. So the ch sound is chico is an example, or think of an English word: cheating, cheetah, chi. So the ch sound is when the h comes after the c. So we'll get to the H in a second, but whenever you see the H come after the C, like for chico, especially at the beginning, but not just the beginning of a sentence, but even for the word che, so we see the CH there, che, that's the sound, all right? Chico, chica, all that. All right, we have de, very easy, but notice A, B, de. It's not A, B, C, D, all right? And again, it's the hard English sounds that make people not sound native. Spanish is more of a de, like tip of your teeth, de, not D, de, be, not B, be. All right, so remember that soft sound. Now the next word we have, e. So E is not E, is for E. So E in Spanish is e, not E. E is I, and we'll get to that in a second. E. All right. F, very easy. He is G, he. Now, in some countries, you might hear a harder G. I don't know which countries, but some countries do that, where they'll make it more of a he sometimes. But it's like gente instead of gente. But you want it to be light, smooth. He, gente, gente. All right. General, general. So that's a G sound. So H, H. Now the reason I wanted you to see how to spell it properly and also how it sounds. So H. Remember, in Spanish though, the H is silent. Okay, so remember that anytime you see a H, it doesn't exist. So one mistake I'll see students say is they'll see the word pillow, and it looks like it should be almohada, almohada, but it's not. It's almohada because you don't say the H. All right, so remember the H is silent in Spanish. Never say the H. Like for the word, it's not hielo, it's hielo for ice. All right, it's not hielo. You just pretend that H isn't even there and you start with hielo for ice. And that leads us perfectly into hielo, E, E. So the I is E. So the I is the hard English E, E. All right, we have jota, jota. Now, even though this could get confusing, I shouldn't have put this here, but I put it here so that you could know how to properly say this, jota. But remember the J it starts with a J here. So the sound is jota. It's not ota, all right? I was just putting this English sound so you could sound it out in English and know how to properly say the J. But J in Spanish is jota, all right? Next we have K, Ka, very easy, Ka, Ka. For K, Ka. L, 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 very easy, L. Now this is another letter, I guess you could say, that was removed from the actual dictionary or from the actual Spanish alphabet, but this sound does exist. So when you have two L's together, there are a few sounds you can make, and you'll hear different sounds based on the country you're in. I would say the neutral way to say this would be a ye sound. So think of the Y in the word yellow. So yellow, calle, calle. See how that sound is? Calle. But you'll also hear a J sound in some countries. So think of like the word jungle. And you'll hear that sometimes for the double L. So you might hear calle, calle, calle. And then some countries like Argentina, I think it is, where they use a lot of the sh sound. And you might hear the sh for the two L. So I might hear caiche, caiche, or something like that. I've never been to Argentina, but I have heard people use the sh sound for a lot of different letters, and I know that's in South America. They might do some of that in Chile or Chile, but I know they do some of that in Argentina as well. And it just goes to show, like, this is why you got to know the alphabet and you got to know the different sounds. So you know if you go somewhere and you hear caiche, you might be saying, what is caiche? I never heard that. But in reality, they're saying calle. So that's why it helps to know the different sounds that could exist for each letter. Next, M, very easy. M, N, N. Then, of course, in Spanish, we have Ñ. Now, one easy way to practice saying this, and I actually picked this up because I'm studying Italian right now. I'm trying to speak Italian. But in Italian, they don't have the Ñ, but they still make that same sound, and they do it by having a G and a N. So, for instance, for them to say baño, they will do something like this. Let me add this here. So, for instance, in Italian, even though this is a completely different language, I think it will help you if you're having trouble saying the Ñ sound. So, for like baño, how to figure out that sound. In Italian, they don't have that N, but they say it like this, baño. So if you have that in mind, it might kind of help you put together the word a little better. Baño. So I don't know if that will help. It might help. It might not. But that's the Ñ. Sueño, baño. Those are different words that use the Ñ. And it's a cool little letter there. So definitely learn that one. Ñ. O, very easy. O for O. But remember, again, it's a soft oh. The vowels are very important in Spanish. I've actually done a video on just the vowels, so you might want to check that video out. Pe, pe for P, pe, pe, pepe, pepe. I used to have a friend, his dog's name, well, I have a friend, and he used to have a dog named Pepe. All right, Q, ku, 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 like cuckoo clock, ku. All right, ku for Q. So now we have R, we have ere, ere, ere. This is a soft R. Now, this double R it exists in some Spanish-speaking countries. In Latin America, it still exists in the alphabet, but I think Spain removed the double R from their alphabet. I've done a video on how to pronounce the double R and how to roll your R's better, but the double R is rolled. And actually, the single R, this is probably why they removed it, because the single R is rolled at the beginning and the end of sentences, and some people even roll it when it's in the middle. So, for example, rápido is one R, but it's rolled. Hablar at the end is rolled. Even parque, some people will roll that. So, like for the word parque, you can use the soft R, parque, or some people roll it and say parque. So, that's probably why they removed it, because I don't know if it's necessary, but I think it's necessary to know that the double R, anytime you see carro, you have to roll that R. If you see the word carro, you can't say caro with the soft R, because that means something completely different. All right, so carro and caro are two different words. One is a single R, one is a double R. That's why I think it's important to be able to distinguish the sounds between the single R and the double R. Next, we have ese. Ese for S, very easy. Ese. Te. Te. So the T is like the D. Both T, D in English are soft in Spanish. Te. De. Te. De. Notice where the tongue is touching on my teeth. Te. 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 This is important because this will help you. Instead of saying también, también is también. Just by moving your tongue a little further up and saying the te sound, ta, ta, instead of ta, it'll make you sound more like a native. So también. We have u, u. So this is like the letter Q, just like Q, but just remove the k sound from the beginning. U, u. All right. Now, this has been an interesting letter because of a lot of people. I get this question all the time. This is one of the most common questions I get is, why do I say V, ve instead of be? Now, V, you can say be or you can say ve. Now, the 100%, I guess, I don't want to say proper way to say it, but the way that it's in the Spanish dictionary is be. So the ve sound does not exist in the actual from Spain, the Spanish dictionary. It doesn't exist. And I did a video on this, but a lot of Spanish speakers will say ve. And I believe that's because the English language is so influential all over the world. Many countries speak English or have English influences. So they use the V sound. So they'll say vamos instead of vamos. So the dictionary says you should say vamos, vamos with a B sound for V and B, the same sound. But you could say vamos. In some places you'll hear people say vamos. Me personally, I really interchange between the two. I don't even really notice it. I just, whatever just comes out. Some V's I say B, some B's I say V. Like, it's just all mixed up. But they sound pretty similar, so it shouldn't be too hard. But you could say be or ve. With this, I will say, like in other languages like Italian, which is similar to Spanish, they have the V sound. So whenever you have these influences of other languages mingling with Spanish, the V sound is a common sound that you're probably going to hear a lot, especially in like South America, Latin, the Caribbean as well. Puerto Ricans, Caribbean Spanish, you will hear vamos, but you also don't be shocked when you hear the V sound for B's as well. All right, now we have, so we have W. Now W, you could say two things, all right? You could say doble B, so it would be double V, essentially, or you could have doble U, so W. Both of those are correct. W or W. Whatever you want to do, you can choose to do there. All right, so X, we have X, X, X. All right, so that's a little interesting one. But just remember the commercial, dos X. If you want to learn how to say that properly, just watch that commercial. Now, Y, we have Y. Some people just say E for Y. But the proper way to say it is Y, Y for Y. And the last letter we have is Zeta. Notice it is Zeta, not Zeta. Zeta. So we're not talking about the cartel Zetas here. We are talking about Zeta. Okay? So I think a lot of non-English, non-Spanish speakers, they mess this letter up because they always want to say Z. But Z, the actual Z sound does not exist in Spanish. It is an S sound. So anytime you see a word like, it's not zapatos for shoes. It's not zapatos. It's zapatos with an S sound. All right. So those are the alphabet. Well, that is the alphabet. I guess you could, if you want to say that. But yeah, that's the alphabet in Spanish. Definitely go back through this video, study it, learn these, rewind them, really listen to native Spanish speakers speak in interviews and stuff, and really dial in and focus on listening to them say every syllable properly. The more you really break down Spanish into syllable by syllable, the more you're going to learn. And again, it doesn't just help you speak, but it helps you understand. Because if you're saying in your head the whole time, the way to say a word is zapato. Let's just say you're saying zapato because you're you don't have that soft Spanish you're saying zapato. Then all you hear, okay, zapato, shoe, zapato, zapato, zapato. And then when somebody comes up to you and says los zapatos, it sounds different. And if you've been studying this whole time in your head, zapato, zapato, and you hear zapato, then you're like, hold up, is that the same word? I don't know. What is it? And you get confused. So pay very close attention to the way people are talking and saying every single word, syllable in Spanish.